This is Will Power's Inverse News. Nostalgia for the present. It is Wednesday, June 10th, 2020 at 2:16 a.m. And the riots resulted in nothing. This is about class warfare. The riots are winding down, especially in San Jose, where I live. As you can see in this video that I took of the Friday about 7:30, 8:30, somewhere in there. I took this video in San Jose, and they had a huge crowd assembly, possibly 10,000 people.
You just saw him on camera a moment ago. He said that.
And in this video, you can see they had an Indian band, doing the Indian dance, complete with Indian headdress, and they had a medic on site. It had the feel of a organized event, and they had cars. There was a medic doing donuts in the parking lot with people all around him, swarming around him. And this is the supposed medic that has a Black Lives Matter thing in his back window, placard on cardboard. And he was doing donuts. And when the police arrived in mass around 11 p.m., as you can see in this video, that night, Friday night, the police arrived in mass, and they were firing off their shots and closing in on the crowd. And they had the police helicopters out earlier. And anyway, there was another example, and they were saying that this was an unlawful assembly, is how they put it. Unlawful assembly. And this is another example of the erosion of our civil liberties in America. We do not have the right to free assembly when it's right in the Constitution. Quote, "The First Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibits the United States Congress from enacting legislation that would abridge the right of the people to assemble peacefully. But the Supreme Court of the United States has held that the First Amendment protects the right to conduct peaceful public assembly. The right to assemble is not, however, absolute, according to the Supreme Court." Now, I don't know how much clearer the Constitution can be than "Congress shall make no law to abridge the right of the people to assemble peacefully," but apparently the judicial branch has spoken, and now you need a permit to assemble peacefully. What the founders should have said is, "Congress shall pass no law to abridge the right to assemble peacefully, and the judicial branch shall not misinterpret our words and take away our civil liberties." However, the protests in San Jose last week at the end of May and the beginning of the end of the lockdown was a far different scene than the one that I saw Friday. The one last weekend before was a lot worse, as you can see in this video.
City Hall there, and the line of police officers.
And a line of policemen officers at City Hall. The protesters faced the line, simmering rage. It was around 11 o'clock, and many of the protesters stood in the center of the street in confrontation with the policemen carrying batons. Last weekend, the policemen were firing rubber bullets into the crowd to disperse the protesters, declaring once again this was an unlawful assembly. I saw someone take a rubber bullet in the gut. he was facing off with police and standing in the middle of the street in a confrontational mood, as you can see in this video. There's the shot. There's the shot that someone now took the hit.
Somebody was just shot with what appears probably a rubber bullet. They're starting
There's another
to shoot
shot.
into the crowd. And
There's another
people
and
are
another.
starting to throw bottles.
Yep. It's about time to get out of there. So, the night before, the police were throwing, the protesters were throwing glass bottles, and I got there and the street was littered with broken glass. Elsewhere, things were far worse, especially in Minneapolis and New York, as you can see in this video here, in burning in Seattle in this case. But everywhere, the cities were burning, looting. You probably saw the videos. And however, in San Jose, the protest was more like a victory celebration this last week. And people were happy as if the protests and riots accomplished something. But what did they accomplish? What did they get out of all this death and destruction? Sure, maybe they will change some police training manuals and eliminate the chokehold, which is good. They should. It's the least they can do. But does that solve everything? Okay, we can go home now. We got them to eliminate the chokehold. Does that really change everything? Now that they got rid of the chokehold, that will end all racial tensions? What does the what about the militarization of the police? That's what they really want, isn't it? To stop the country from becoming a military police state? A surveillance state? I don't want that. Do you? But what about what we're getting and but that is what we're getting. And these riots made no difference in that. There is talk of banning the police departments, which is just ridiculous. That's never going to happen. They'll defund a little maybe, but reinstate funds later on. I know I've seen enough of these City of Palo Alto Council meetings to know when there's a lot of public pressure to do something they don't want to do, they wait a long time to act while making empty promises they won't keep, only to do exactly what they wanted to do all along. These changes are cosmetic. They aren't going to change what is at heart of the problem. What caused the riots? What were the rioters doing? The poor lower class rioters were looting. Isn't that what they were doing? Why were they looting? Because they were poor. A man who has everything he needs doesn't need to steal. So it stands to reason this is class warfare. The problem is there isn't much anyone can do about it, to change the whole system. So everyone has an equal share and there's no such thing as a poor homeless person. The world doesn't work that way, and the systems of government that attempted to bring that ideal to earth, communism or rampant socialism, have failed. They are systems of government that should be relegated to the past and thought of as monstrosities that belong in the dustbin of history. Socialism without capitalism and a strong economy, along with a great deal of trust among the citizenry, cannot and will not work. This is Will Powers, Inverse News. Thank you for listening. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can through my email at mountaincharlie@sbcglobal.net, and mojomorning.blogspot.com is my website. Thank you.